Welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, our focus is on the riding of Ottawa West-Nepean. Before I introduce you to our candidates, let's go over the format that we are using because it's not the format that you are accustomed to. This year, for various reasons, we're not doing a debate format. We're doing a question and answer session and doing this virtually with each of our candidates. So with that being said, let me introduce you to our candidates in alphabetical order. From the Liberal Party, Sam Bhalesar. From the Ontario Party, Vilteau, Delvas. From the NDP, Chandra, Pasma. From the PC Party, Jeremy Roberts. And from the Green Party, Stephen Warren. It is now the opportunity for each of our candidates to share their opening statement. Each candidate will have 60 seconds for their opening statement. And again, we will do that in alphabetical order, starting with Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party. You have 60 seconds.
Hello, I am Sam Bhalesar. I am running for the Ontario Liberal Party for Ottawa West-Nepean. I've been married for 18 years to my wonderful husband, Nav. I have two beautiful boys, 9 and 11. I'm also a caregiver to my mother, who is 81 and has Alzheimer's, in my home. I take care of her, and we really depend on the healthcare system. I'm a public servant on leave for political leave at the current time. I'm a senior advisor. I've been very fortunate to work on many wonderful projects, including G7, G20, Clean Energy Ministerial, and just recently the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And I've also worked on projects such as chaired Patient Family Advisory Council with the Ottawa Hospital, and I've chaired the Champlain Maternal Newborn Regional Program.
Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Vilteau Delva, and I represent the Ontario Party, and I run for Member of Parliament for Ottawa West-Nepean. And I'm very excited to be here today, and I salute all the team members for bringing up these little questions. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I am a believer. I used to be a former police officer in Haiti. I'm here to fight for freedom because of my life I've been fighting. I know I used to work as a personal support worker. I used to work also for Transport Canada at the federal level as a student. I graduated from Ottawa University. And I own my own business. It's been since 2017. So I'm a fighter. I always fight, and I believe in what is right. So let's fight together to get the freedom that we're looking for, because the change needs to happen. Let's change together.
Chandra Pasma of the NDP, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Chandra Pasma, your Ontario NDP candidate for Ottawa West-Nepean. I've been knocking on doors across the riding since October, and every day I speak with residents who are frustrated that Doug Ford has not had their back. Our healthcare system is broken, our seniors have been neglected, and our kids are not getting the supports they deserve. And families are being overwhelmed by the cost of living. It's time for a government and an MPP who will finally fix what matters most to you. In 2018, I was also the NDP candidate here, and I came second to the Conservative by only 175 votes. Last week, there was a Main Street poll which showed that I'm in a tight race for first with the Conservative candidate once again. So on June 2nd, I'm asking for your support to elect an NDP MPP who will finally work hard to fix what matters most to you.
Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, is now time for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Roberts, your Progressive Conservative candidate in Ottawa West-Nepean. When I ran to be your MPP 4 years ago, I did so because I felt like we didn't have a government here in Ontario that was delivering results for our community. Since being elected 4 years ago, I've worked hard every single day to make sure that we weren't just talking about problems, that we were delivering results and getting the job done. For example, we have the Queensway Carleton Hospital here in our riding, a centerpiece of our healthcare system. They had been fighting for years to get funding for a new wing for their mental health unit. I secured that funding. We got funding for CHIO to get a brand new building to help kids with special needs, and we delivered a new 240-bed long-term care home for our riding. These are the results that I'm working to deliver every single day, and I hope I can count on your support.
Stephen Warren of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Warren. I am your Green Party candidate here for Ottawa West-Nepean. If elected, I would be Ontario's youngest and the first openly autistic MPP. We need to see change here in Ontario immediately. That's what I'm bringing to the table. As a young person, I have the energy and I have the passion to fight for what's right. If we are to fix the complex issues facing Ontario's autism community, I wholeheartedly believe we need autism representation in Queen's Park, because only then can we ensure the autism community will be heard. And aside from all that, I want to be your voice. I want to be your advocate. I am 18 years old. I have the energy. I have the passion. I want to protect Ontario's environment. I want to make life more affordable. And overall, I want to be your advocate.
First question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Sam Bhalesar from the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Affordability is a really big issue in this riding and everywhere in Ontario. We're all feeling the pinch. The Ontario Liberal Party will introduce minimum wage to $16 an hour, but we will also adapt a regional wage. We will also implement rent control, which is extremely important in this riding. We will also remove HST from prepared foods up to $20. So now you can go to the restaurant, have a full meal, and not worry about paying those extra few dollars for HST. We're also going to build 1.5 million new homes within 10 years, and we will build at least 138,000 new deeply affordable homes.
Same question to Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
We know it's a challenge that we are facing right now because of the inflation and everything. We need to create more job. We need to create more job. We need to allow companies, young people, young adult, young entrepreneur to become more effective. To give them more possibility to create job, to create companies that can provide job for others. And also, we in our party, we the same that we believe in it, which is fighting for what is right. We do believe everybody should have a decent life and live with dignity. It's not right for a family not being able to put food on their table. It's not good to have homeless and not having a shelter where to stay, where to live. It's not right to have. So there's so many things that we are facing right now. The only way to do it is to fight together and making sure that what we have in place today to change them for more structured party.
Same question to Chandra Pasma of the NDP. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Cost of living is something that I hear every single day from residents on the doorstep, whether it's the cost of housing, people who rent and people who own their own home, or the fact that groceries are going up every day. It's time for a government who's finally going to work hard to make life more affordable for you. The Ontario NDP has a plan to make sure that everyone can afford to own a home, whether you rent or own. But we also have a plan to address the other expenses in your life to make sure that you can afford the bills on top of rent. We're going to bring down hydro prices, address gouging at the gas pumps, and make sure that your auto insurance company isn't gouging you either. We're also going to bring pharmacare, dental care, and mental health care into our public health care system to make sure that you're getting the health care support you need, and the dental support you need, and the medications you need at no cost to your family. We're also going to make sure that you can get the childcare you need, even after your kids have turned 5.
Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, same question to you. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
You know, this election is really about the cost of living and who's going to make life more affordable. I think the choice is clear. Under Premier Ford's leadership, we worked hard to reduce costs for Ontarians. We rebated everyone on the license stickers, putting a bit more money back in your pocket at a time when gas prices are getting out of control. Beyond this, we also passed into law a reduction of the provincial gas tax, which will reduce our costs at the pump by about 5.7 cents starting this summer. Our government and our PC party is going to continue to take measures like this to make life a little bit more affordable for each and every one of us, whereas the other two parties, the Liberals and NDP, are going to continue to make life more expensive. The choice is clear. We need to re-elect Doug Ford as Premier.
Same question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Stephen Warren of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
That's a great question. Ontario Greens, we want to implement a universal basic income. This will empower lower-income Ontarians and help many leave the cycle of poverty. I know right now gas is insane. No one can afford it. I can't afford it myself. If we were to make the switch to electric vehicles, we could save $1,000 a year by not having to pay for gas. That's why Ontario Greens are pitching increased EV rebates upwards of $10,000 to help you save money. We also want to implement a grocer's code of conduct to stop price gouging it in grocery stores to ensure that healthy food and nutritious food is affordable for all, because food should be a human right. We also want to empower community farming, where you can grow your own food. That's what Ontario Greens brings to the table. New solutions to old problems. The old parties are presenting half measures.
Next question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking? Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party, you have 60 seconds.
We need to provide the home care, like allow citizens to be able to stay home in their own house and get the service that they deserve. So living with dignity in their own home. We need also to open more public long-term care facilities. That with the government with what we're gonna come as a program, we will have to create a multiple establishment where facilities where we're going to have more people to come. And also we know that we have some challenges. Remember that I am a PSW and I know all the challenges that we are facing. So we need to work closely with the private sector and the public sector to come up with a plan where everybody will feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, we're working for the citizen, we're working for our seniors. So we need to work together to find the right policies to allow either the long-term care and private care to get what we need for the citizen.
Same question to Chandra Pasma of the NDP. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
I want to start by acknowledging the horrific tragedy that we saw unfold in our long-term care system during the pandemic. Thousands of families across the province were absolutely devastated and now have a gaping hole. And despite the fact that Doug Ford promised an iron ring around long-term care, he let this tragedy unfold again and again. It's time for a government that is finally serious about fixing our seniors' care system. The Ontario NDP will significantly invest in home care to make sure that we're keeping seniors in their own home as long as possible. We're going to remove profit from our home care and long-term care system so that the funds that we pay are actually going to care and not to the private profits of shareholders. And I know that workers, PSWs and nurses have been stretched to the breaking point by this pandemic. We need to provide decent wages and working conditions, ensure they can do full-time work, and that this is a career they can invest in and provide for their families in, so that we ensure that every senior and person living with disability receives the care they deserve.
Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, same question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
The PC Party is going to spare no expense in fixing our long-term care sector and making sure that it is there for our seniors when they need it. Under the Liberals, prior to us being elected, they built only 611 net new long-term care beds, and they were supported by the NDP for 15 years while no results were happening. Since we've been elected, we are building 30,000 new long-term care beds and redeveloping more of them right across the province. This includes a brand new 240-bed long-term care home in our riding that's going to be run by the Pearly Rideau. Beyond this, we're also supporting the training of new PSWs and nurses, with over 27,000 new healthcare workers being trained this year alone. We're going to make sure that our long-term care sector is there for our seniors.
Stephen Warren of the Green Party, same question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
And this is a great question. We need to do more for long-term care. Our seniors, they deserve to retire in peace and dignity. I was out protesting with the Trinity United Church up front of Jeremy's office the other day. They have one simple request that we should be doing: investments into home care. Ontario Greens are going to invest 20% more into home care, allowing seniors to retire in their own homes with peace and dignity. We're going to help PSWs who've worked so hard in this pandemic. We're going to make their minimum wage $25 an hour. Ontario Greens are also going to help get the profit out of long-term care, because we know in privatized long-term care, elderly people were more likely to die of the coronavirus. So Ontario Greens are going to build 55,000 new non-profit long-term care beds. We need to put care before profits. That's what Ontario Greens are standing for.
Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party, same question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
This riding is the demographic for seniors is very high. We are the second highest population of seniors. This is also very important to me. I have a vested interest in this particular issue. Just as you know, my mother lives with me. She is a senior, and I live this every day. So this is very exciting to me that our platform will give so much to our aging population and seniors. We're going to increase old age security by $1,000 a year. We will provide guaranteed home care to 400,000 more seniors in Ontario. We're also going to end warehousing of our seniors in long-term care by ending for-profit long-term care homes. We want to help and do whatever we can to ensure that we don't cripple our system when it comes to seniors.
Next question. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure? Chandra Pasma of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
As a parent, I've seen firsthand over the past 2 years how much our kids have struggled in Ontario, being out of school, back in school, back out of school, back in school with the rules changed. But I've also seen how our teachers and education workers have been burnt out and disrespected. But we also know these problems didn't start with COVID-19. Teachers and education workers were on strike even before the pandemic to protest the conditions that our children were forced to learn in, classrooms that are too crowded, schools that are dilapidated and falling down around their ears. It's time for a government who will finally invest in and support our public education system, bring down class sizes, and make sure that every child receives the special education and mental health supports they need to make up for the last 3 years of disrupted schooling. We also need to eliminate the backlog in school repairs and actually take school ventilation seriously, which means HVAC systems installed in schools and not on the lawn in front of the school.
Same question to the PC candidate, Jeremy Roberts. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
Every year since being elected in 2018, Premier Ford's government and our PC party team have increased education spending more on education than the previous Liberal government. We're making sure that we're spending $10 billion to make sure that we are rebuilding our school infrastructure and building new schools as opposed to closing them like the former government did. Beyond this, we're also making important changes to our curriculum, bringing the skilled trades back into the high school curriculum, introducing financial literacy and computer coding, and making sure that our children are getting the skills that they need to graduate out and get good paying jobs for the future. We are going to make sure that we fix our schools, make sure that our curriculum is up to standards, and make sure that our kids can thrive and succeed into the future.
Same question to Stephen Warren of the Green Party. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
This is a concern for me too. I just graduated high school only last year. We need to stop privatization. I will always defend public education in Ontario because every student should have the right to an equitable education in a safe environment. We should not be seeing privatization as we're seeing right now under the Conservatives. Ontario Greens are going to fully fund public education. We're going to ensure teachers have their bargaining rights, as they should. We're going to make schools better for students. I personally believe in advocating for students' rights. I would like to see dress codes for women and girls overhauled because right now it's extremely unfair, as we've seen in New Orleans protest. So that's what we care. We care for people. We support public education. We're going to update our classrooms, make sure our classrooms are safe, and we're going to get rid of the hybrid learning. Every student should be learning in person, where it's safe, and they get the best learning experience.
Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party, same question to you. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
We have a real issue when it comes to education. We need to make sure that we are providing the best environment for our children. And as a mom, this is very important to me. I was one of those moms on the other side of the computer watching my children every single day through the pandemic as they tried to learn. So going back to school, now they're in bigger classes. So what we want to do is cap the classes at 20. We want to hire 10,000 more teachers, 5,000 more special education workers, and 1,000 more mental health workers. We want to end mandatory online classes and offer a choice of grade 13 so that we can give that bridge for students from grade 12 OAC into university and colleges.
Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party, same question. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
I do believe, yes, we have this challenge, and but I do also salute the schooling system. They're able to work with the minimum that they have to provide education for our children. Myself, I'm a father, and I know how it is and how hard it is to get good schooling and getting good teachers. We need to re-educate people that needs to be re-educated when it comes to the schooling to become better teachers, and also we need to invest more into the parents, the families, so they can have enough income to also provide what the children need for them to be able to learn. At the same time, in the schooling, we need to make sure that the teachers that we are having, they are qualified enough to focus on what is important to teach our children to get the education that they deserve.
Next question. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers? Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds.
Our government is working hard for workers right across the province. I think our government's record on this speaks to itself. In fact, this election, we have been endorsed by a number of private sector trade unions that had previously not supported us, but support the work that our government is doing to support our workers. This includes things like raising the minimum wage and making sure that we're helping ensure that each of our workers can achieve the skills training that they need. In our riding, we're training a ton of new workers here at Algonquin College with support from the PC Party and from Premier Ford's government. I think the choice this election is clear. For workers, we need to re-elect a PC Party government that's going to continue to support training for the jobs of tomorrow.
Same question to Stephen Warren of the Green Party. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers? You have 60 seconds.
And yeah, this is another great concern. We've seen Mr. Ford not protecting gig workers out there. We need to ensure everyone is paid the living wage so that everyone can actually be able to afford rent. Which is why I also support introducing a rent control so that we can make life better for those who don't necessarily have labor protections. The Ontario Greens, we fully support workplace democracy. I fully support workplace democracy myself. I'd like to see more unions in workplaces so that the workers can be heard, because that's what we need to see. We need to see more support for workers and individuals. Let's stop these tax cuts for wealthier individuals and those above us. We need to do more for workers in Ontario. That's what Ontario Greens are going to do.
Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party, same question to you. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers?
The Ontario Liberal government will do whatever it takes to ensure that our labor movement and our businesses can thrive. For me, this is particularly important as well. My husband has a business right here in Ottawa West-Nepean. We've watched our businesses struggle, and I hear it every single day, even at the doors or when we walk into a business, and even when businesses were closing on and off. We're going to ensure that businesses have a way to thrive. And for me, one of the most important things that I'd like to do is start a business improvement association, a BIA, right here in Ottawa West-Nepean, which will help give a platform to our businesses and to ensure that the labor movement continues. We are going to ensure there's fair wages and environments where people can thrive and have the platform for affordability.
Same question to Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers?
We want to make sure that people on Ontario Party, when you become in power, it's a community. So we need to make sure that everybody feels safe. Everybody has the environment, the mental health that they deserve to work in a holy environment. I call it holy environment. So to do so, we know that there's some certain thing that we cannot change. There will be always freelancers. There will be always people that are going to be contractors. So what we need to do, we need to regulate. We need to regulate what we have in place to make sure that everybody is protected when it comes to the workplace. I'm a small business owner. Not all the time I can afford to put somebody into payroll the way it should be, but I have to subcontract people to come and help me out. So we need to regulate the system to make sure that we have what the proper service and the proper technique.
Okay, that's time.
Laws, so everybody can feel comfortable.
Same question to Chandra Pasma of the NDP. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers?
First of all, we need to absolutely make sure that people are not being wrongly classified as independent contractors when they're actually employers, allowing big, profitable companies like Uber to get away with not paying minimum wage or benefits to their workers when they're actually employees. So the first thing that we would do is crack down on that system. The Ontario NDP would also not allow two-tier contracts that allow some people to be paid less based on their status. But we do need to make sure that everybody, no matter their position, receives the supports that they need. In some cases, that means universal supports like pharmacare and dental care for everyone, bringing mental health care into our public health care system. But the Ontario NDP is also going to create a portable benefits program that will go with the employee, not with the job, to ensure that everybody gets decent benefits through their work.
Next question. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy? Stephen Warren of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
And this is a great question as well. Really, what we need to see is we need to see more support for people. Poverty costs Ontario $33 billion a year. Let's invest into people. Let's do more for people. Let's support everyone. Let's start a war on poverty, because poverty is costing Ontario $33 billion a year. I wholeheartedly support a universal basic income. It will grow Ontario's economy. It will not diminish labor hours. It will empower lower income Ontarians. If we make the transition to a green climate economy, which is what we're advocating for, there will be hundreds of thousands of new climate jobs. Climate action, it's job action. Simple as that. That's what Ontario Greens are presenting. Universal basic income to empower lower income Ontarians and make transition to a clean green economy. Hundreds of thousands of new climate jobs.
Same question to Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy?
Well, the economy is extremely important to everybody. This economy has faltered under the Ford government. What we need to do is ensure that we are showing affordability. We are ensuring that families have what they need, and we are going to ensure that businesses have the funding to keep improving where they're going and how they're growing their own businesses. We're going to make sure that we are putting funds to the right place, such as healthcare, education, businesses, not building highways that are unnecessary. That $10 billion, we are going to take that and put it to the right things like the economy, healthcare, and education.
Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party, same question to you. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy?
My plan myself, I believe in a 20 years plan. But right now we have the gas prices going up. We have housing is going up. We have so many things that's going up, and the rent, the salary remain the same. And also, you cannot promise people that you're gonna put a salary at minimum salary at $20 an hour. So there will be more people with job without a job. So we need what we need to see. We need to come up with we need to come up with a new plan, because what we have today as government, they're not doing what to do. So, but what I believe it's like giving people some little thing that make them forgot about what the actual situation. So we need to create job. We need to open the country for other investors to come and invest in this country and this province. We need to make sure that the businesses that we have, they are able to give more job to new citizens, to new people that was coming in this country.
Chandra Pasma of the NDP, same question. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy?
During the pandemic, Doug Ford prioritized the big box stores and large corporations who funnel their profits out of the country into tax havens over the local small businesses that actually make up the backbone of our economy. He also allowed our workers to be laid off without any supports, burning through their savings. What we need to do to rebuild our economy is support our small businesses and our workers here in Ontario, the ones who actually live in our communities, who spend their income in our communities. The Ontario NDP has a plan to support small businesses with the Small Business Recovery Grant Program. And unlike Doug Ford, we're going to make sure all that money actually goes to businesses in Ontario. We also have plans to support workers by raising the minimum wage to at least $20 an hour and making sure that every worker has a decent job, expanding our manufacturing and clean tech sectors so that we create good jobs right here in Ontario.
Same question. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy? Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds.
Our government is committed, and our PC Party is committed to making sure that we're getting Ontario's economy back on track. After 15 years of the Liberal Party being in government, supported by the NDP, we saw jobs and businesses leaving Ontario. But now we're seeing jobs coming back to our province. And that's because we're making sure that we have an environment that fosters the creation of jobs and gives a good environment for small businesses to start up. Just recently, Premier Ford secured record investments in Oshawa, Oakville, and Windsor to help our auto manufacturing sector start moving over to creating electric vehicles, which will help us meet those job needs of the future and help our environment. And here in Ottawa, we're training thousands of new skilled trades workers to get them into good, high-paying jobs that will help all of our economy. We're the only choice for this.
It is now time for your closing statements. A reminder to all candidates, you have 60 seconds. We will do this in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Stephen Warren of the Green Party. You have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
I know many of you out there probably have children or even grandchildren. I am 18 years old. I could even be the same age as your child or grandchild. I just want you to think about them when you vote in this election. Please. The climate crisis is going to drastically affect their future. Their future might not be the same as your future. It could be worse. Please, I am asking you, when you go to the ballot, think of your children or grandchildren. Do more for them. Vote for them. Vote Green. The Greens, we understand youth issues. We're going to take the climate crisis seriously. We're going to tackle the climate crisis, make Ontario net zero by 2045. If you want to help autistic people like myself who have been struggling under the Doug Ford government and the previous Liberals, vote for me, Stephen Warren, Ottawa West-Nepean Green candidate. Thank you so much.
Jeremy Roberts of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Serving as your MPP for the past 4 years has been a true honor, and I've worked hard every single day with Premier Ford to make sure that we were delivering for our community and getting the job done. We need another 4 years in office to keep getting these important projects done. And moreover, I think the choice this election is clear. When you go into the ballot box on election day, you need to ask yourself, do you want life to get more affordable or do you want life to get more expensive? If you want life to get more affordable, you need to re-elect the PC Party with Doug Ford as Premier, because we're going to work to get gas prices down, lower our taxes, bring good high-paying jobs back to Ontario, and rebuild our infrastructure. We're going to say yes to those projects that we need, unlike the other party that will raise costs, raise taxes, and say no to these important projects.
Chandra Pasma of the NDP, it is now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
I know the last 4 years have been really tough for everyone. People are finding it harder to pay the bills even when they have a good job. They're finding it hard to find a decent place to call home, and our healthcare system and our seniors' care system is broken. But these problems didn't start with COVID-19. They stretch back for years. It's time for us to rebuild what we've lost and finally fix what's broken. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work for you. And every vote counts this election. In 2018, I came second to the Conservative by only 175 votes. And a recent Main Street poll shows I'm in a very tight race for first again. So on June 2nd, I'm asking for your support for an NDP MPP who will finally work hard every single day to fix what matters most to you and to your family.
Vilteau Delvas of the Ontario Party. It is now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
I believe in unity. I believe in progress. Je suis quelqu'un qui est très, très sage et de nature qui aime aider les gens. I'm really looking forward for you to vote for me because I'm not a politician. I am just a regular person like you, looking to bring some changes in this society. I have a young family myself. I have a young daughter. I'm fighting for her freedom, and we need to fight to get away all those mandates that bring pressure onto our back and stopping us from moving forward. We need to open the country, open the province, so to allow more people to come and invest into the economy. When I say more people to come, I'm not talking about foreigners. I'm talking the people that we have here. We can give them education that they need so they can become investors. They can get the knowledge, the experience that they need, so they become more financially independent. And we need to fight for our homeless and fight for our elderlies. So I'm here for the people and fighting for the people.
Sam Bhalesar of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
As a mother and as a daughter who takes care of a parent in her home with Alzheimer's, healthcare and education have become very important to me. My husband is a business owner, as I was saying, and these are extremely important issues that we need to make sure we're taking care of. We don't need to spend unnecessary money on highways. We need to put that money towards things that are most important, things like healthcare and education. We need to ensure that families have affordability and we give families everything they need to keep on growing. We need to make sure we give safe environments to our children. I want to make sure that we are a thriving population. We are thriving wherever we are in Ontario. For me, I feel that a person who has experienced those things will advocate best for everyone. I live these things every single day, so I will advocate for you.
Thank you very much to all of our candidates for joining us. And of course, thank you at home for watching. We certainly encourage you to go out and vote in Ontario's election coming up on June 2nd. And we encourage you to tune in to our in-depth coverage on election night right here on Rogers TV.